Developing news, anger boiling over in Berkeley. Our cameras are rolling as fights break out between anti-Trump protesters and the president's supporters. And good evening, I'm Juliette Goodrich.
And I'm Brian Hackney. KPX5 reporter Don Lynn was there at that fight you just saw. Pretty intense out there.
Yeah, I want to warn the folks watching at home, you're about to see some very violent footage. Now, what we saw today in Berkeley was not democracy. Instead, what we saw, just pretty much all violence. It was a free-for-all. Trump supporters and anti-Trump protesters going at it. Sometimes it was one-on-one. Other times, large groups of people punching, kicking, and hitting each other with sticks. Bloody noses and faces.
Oh, he just pissed. Just pissed, yeah.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
There were so many fights, we lost count. Police officers stood by and watched as fight after fight after fight broke out between both sides.
I feel like they should have probably done some a bit sooner. There's already been like 3 or 4 fights. Several people have been pepper sprayed.
Some instigators used pepper spray. Others threw some kind of smoke canister into the crowd. And someone set off fireworks.
This is a sad day, and that we're better than this.
Yeah, so on the Trump supporter side, we saw about 60 to 70 people. On the anti-Trump protesters side, we saw about 150 to about 200. Some of those, including anarchists, folks with ski masks and all that. We don't have the exact number of folks who were injured, but I saw quite a few people, at least 4 to 5 people with bloody faces, and a lot more people with bruises to their faces and hands and all. So far, we saw 2 people detained by police officers, but for the most part, officers kind of, kept back and kind of gave a hands-off approach. Juliette?
We've seen that stance before from officers. They also didn't move in during the violent Cal protests. So what are they saying about not moving in?
Yeah, they're not giving us an answer, but they're just kind of staying at the edge of the park. We're thinking maybe they're concerned about their own safety. Maybe they don't want to instigate or cause the crowd to even get even more violent. But for the most part, they're just kind of watching the fights happening. And so there are a lot of folks who are upset, pretty frustrated that they weren't moving in to try to break up the fight. Exactly why? Is that their strategy? We're not exactly sure. They haven't really said much to the media about that. Juliette?
All right, Daw, thank you.
Supporters of President Trump held rallies today in dozens of American cities, with police trying to limit confrontations with counter-protesters. In Texas, several hundred Trump backers gathered at the State House in Austin. In the nation's capital, they listened to speakers beneath the Washington Monument and then marched to a park near the White House. In New York City, people braved the cold and stood in groups near Trump Tower.
We're going to support him from the beginning to right to the end.
We want him to make America great again, and he will do that.
And safe again. Yes. He wants to be our president, not the world's president. We don't need that. We need someone to take care of us at home.
Organizers say today's rallies were meant as a show of unity against what they call a seditious fringe allegedly trying to sabotage the president.